Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Johngy or Else podcast, without which life would be incomplete and have little or no meaning. I, of course, am your host, who else but Tommy Else. And if you'll indulge me for a moment as I introduce my co-host, Lady Godiva was a freedom rider. She didn't care if the whole world looked. Joan of Arc with the Lord to guide her. She was a sister who really cooked. Isadora was the first bra burner, and you're all glad she showed up. And when the country was falling apart, Betsy Ross got it all sewn up. And then there was the man on the beat. From johngysbeat.com, Mr. Jonathan Francis Roblesky.
Do you know the story of Isadora Duncan?
I don't really know that story of Isadora Duncan. No, tell us.
I don't know. I don't know the whole story, or I knew it at one point, but her death was grisly.
Yeah,
She was, because this is going back to like the early 1900s or 1800s even, and she had apparently a long like scarf type thing on. She was in a horse-drawn carriage, and her scarf got caught in the tires or the wheels.
And that was it, huh?
Yeah. Isadora was no more.
Yeah, popped her head off like a dandelion, huh? Well, so how are you, sir? It's been a while.
I am all right. How about you, man? Tell everybody, take the blame for this being too long of an absence. Go ahead, I'm waiting.
All right, I will. So yeah, this is, people have been asking, what's going on? We haven't seen an
I've been
episode in a long time, uh, it's 98% my fault, 2% circumstantial. I don't put any of it on John.
Wow.
Uh,
This is being recorded, so this
because
is
we would have recorded recently, but circumstances prevented us from doing so. We did have a guest we were going to have on, so that was not my fault. So
no, you're right.
I'm taking 2% off of that, but the rest, I
All you,
take.
baby.
I have been absent. A lot of things going on in life, but have also been busy with another podcast
Yeah, so this gets put on the back burner.
that you can check out. It's called the Trippi Coaching Podcast, which you can find on all social media platforms. It's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, it's everywhere. It's on fire. It's going well.
Apparently, it's more important than this one.
That's Trippi Coaching. Check it out. It's me and my co-host Andrea Trippi, and we talk about health and wellness, as she is a weight loss coach, and I, of course, am a personal trainer.
I didn't get a T-shirt.
John has not been involved in this per request of the committee and several other.
Is it the same committee
viewers.
or a different committee?
No, this is all under the same umbrella. They've really been. I mean, if anything, like I still take the blame because I'm the one who's has to do the shows and everything, but I also get the orders from the top, and the committee.
Well, tell them I'd like a T-shirt then to promote
really,
this podcast, since it's obviously much more important than this one.
Well, I mean, we're talking health and wellness, and we're trying to, help people and everything. And, you're talking about, women getting their heads cut off,
We're talking about entertainment, pop culture.
Well, yeah, that's, yeah.
Speaking of which, two things.
Let me finish.
Oh.
Let me finish.
All right.
And that, so,
More promotion of the other podcast.
But it has been very time consuming. I will say that it is a different experience doing a show with someone besides John, as I have grown quite accustomed to working with him, and I feel like he and I can pretty much jump into a podcast at any given moment. So I will say that it's a little more labor on the other end on that podcast for me than I'm used to with this. So therefore, it's been more time consuming. When I took it on, I didn't expect it to take more time than I usually spend with this, but it has. So
apparently, John is very easy and smooth to work with, and just right in.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like doing the show by myself, so it's like I don't have to really, like work with
And we saw how
somebody.
well
So
that
like,
did. 28
yeah.
views. It was the worst, least viewed episode we've ever had.
No, there's some sort of like regulator or something on there that's keeping
Oh
that thing from
yeah,
blowing up. There's
yeah,
like a governor, I believe they put on
yeah,
it that, because they didn't want YouTube to just shut down entirely from the overload of episodes. But
yeah.
so that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it, as Dennis Miller used to say. What were you going to say there before I cut you
Well,
off
two
there?
things.
All right.
One, Word Circle Expo next year was going to be, because you're invited. I'm saying it now. I said it before. I'm saying it now. You are invited to Word Circle Expo in Indianapolis. It was going to be the weekend of April 18th, 19th, and then WrestleMania decided to put it on the same weekend. So they're going to move it, but I don't know the date, but I will tell you the date when it comes out. So you can't complain about that.
Okay,
And
real quick. It's not an invitation that I'm meeting. Okay, I can go to the Squared Circle Expo on my own just fine. I'm looking for the hookup that I'm supposed to be getting as my benefit of
I
carrying
can't get you a hookup.
carrying you along through this
I cannot get you a
journey.
hookup.
Well,
Two, two, we'll move right along. Two, our friend, originally your friend, but now our friend Joseph White is
yeah,
going to be at Chicago Pop Fest or Pop Fest Chicago,
yeah, yeah,
July 14th, I believe it's a Sunday.
yeah,
So we're inviting all our listeners, viewers, and you, I believe it's in Naperville, to
yeah. That
go out
sounds
that
right.
day and support Joseph in the Pop Fest.
Yeah, we had him on. It's been
A
at least
while.
a year now, probably at least. But I would like to have him come back on because since we had him on, when we brought him on, he was just kind of getting started with his business, Whitney Collectibles, and he showed us and shared with us a lot of the collectible items that he has and how he's able to make personalized, frames and boxes and things like that for them. And since we've had him on, he has been really doing some good business. I'm sure he would tell you that, he'd like to be doing 10 times what he's doing. But I mean, he's making a name for himself. He's working a lot of these shows. I've had, I think, at least I've got two clients of mine, two personal training clients of mine who have used him. One has used him for framing for probably like five or six different things already at this point. I was just at a client's house this morning who got a Back to the Future poster from him, and he did it up real nice with crushed blue velvet and
Ooh.
a yellow border and a nice frame and everything. It looks beautiful. If you go to whitneycollectibles.com, he's got photos of all these. And if anyone watches the podcast Booker T has, his partner who he podcasts with, he actually had Joseph do something, and when you watch the show, it's right behind him
Oh, that's cool.
on there. So he also did something for, I want to say it was like Coolio's wife or something like that. Like he's gotten a few celebrity people that he's done work for and stuff. So if you're interested in looking at seeing some of the work he does, he personalizes things beautifully, and it's just really good. So whitneycollectibles.com. So we got to get him to come back on and
Well,
bring us
you got to get him to
bring
come
us.
back on.
It won't take much, man. That guy's ready to jump on here in a
Well, I
second.
understand that,
So,
but there seems to be one,
well,
last here
I'm gonna
slowing up the
make. I'll
process.
call the guy. I'll get it going. I'll take care of
And
getting
and
stuff.
and if we don't get him on before then, check him out at Pop Fest Chicago in
That's just
Naperville, July
it's
14th.
July. I think we can get him on before then. I think
I
we
will
can.
be there. I hope to see Tommy there.
Yeah, I'll try to come out. I'll try to come out.
Support our bud.
Hey, he was at the county farm. What the hell is it? The county fair, the place that we went for. It's in over by the courthouse in DuPage County, whatever the hell it's called.
Cretan?
Well, I know what town it is.
No, I mean the all night like the all night flea market
The
in
all
Lee.
night flea market.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I went and saw him at the all night flea
Oh,
market.
thanks. I didn't get an invite to that.
You don't need an invite to that. You just
Ooh,
go.
but you need an invite to everything.
No, see, I don't need an invite. I want the benefits
Then you
that
got to work for the
that I'm
benefits.
due that no that I'm due for what I get from carrying you along.
Oh, jeez.
Like why I mean I obviously can have anybody as a co-host. So
Oh,
if I'm not getting something in return here, I don't see why I'm sticking with you here. I mean, I gave you some grace period, and a couple of events here and everything, and nothing. But
well, our good friend Heather Owens does send her regards.
oh well, they are received warmly.
Yes, we
So
love Heather.
so what else is going on in Johngy's
Well,
universe?
I had an issue with the gym.
Oh
Same
boy.
guy
Oh boy.
going to Planet Fitness.
Here we go.
There's two different machines for triceps, two different machines for biceps, and they're all kind of together. So I go there and I'm doing the press downs, for triceps.
Yeah.
And I'm almost done with my sets. I did like 4 or 5, whatever, and I was almost done. And Meathead comes over and he like stands right next to me and goes, "Yeah, I need that for my circuit." Now I had been on the machine probably about 15 minutes at this point.
Yeah.
And I go, "Well, I'm on it." He goes, "Well, I need it for my circuit." I go, "Well, then you're in luck. I only have 2 more sets." And
That's
then they kind of looked at me like, and then I raised the weight to kind of a really light weight, and
yeah.
I did like 50 reps on each set.
To try to stick it to him.
Yeah, yeah. What are you gonna kick me off the machine? Apparently he wanted his super circuit
No,
that he.
you were in the right and you said the right thing. I would have said the same thing. I'd be like, "Well, I got two more sets and it's all yours." Or
he-
I or I would say, "Well, if you want to work in with me, you can. I only have two more sets."
Well, I was gonna do that, but he was
But
an asshat, so I
yeah,
didn't.
but if he's being a dick, then sure. Yeah, I get
Because
it.
he wanted
No.
to do all 4 of those. That was his circuit now.
Well, good for him, but I mean, that's the thing. That's when you go to a gym, that's one of the things that you face. You're not going to be able to just get on every. I mean, if you want that, then you go at 2 in the morning.
Yes. They are open 24 hours a day except for Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. So, no, you were not in the wrong, and you handled it appropriately.
There you
So,
go.
yeah,
I feel relieved. Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right.
What do you got?
Let's see what's going on. So I've been experimenting with grounding. Are you familiar with this at all?
Grounding?
Grounding. GR.
No.
Oh, okay. So it goes by two names. It's known as grounding, or some people call it earthing. And what this is let's say you go outside and you stand barefoot in the grass. Okay. The electrical energy of the earth deionizes you like instantly. So if you've got, let's say, I don't know, 200 some megahertz of electricity in your body or whatever, it brings it down to like zero, like as soon as you do that. Now, if you can, let's say you stand out in the grass for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes or something like that, during that time, the way my doctor explained it was, he said, imagine like, you've got your browser window open and you've got like 10,000 tabs open. Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, your computer can handle it. I mean, the processor can deal with it, but it's like when you get grounded, it's like it closes all the tabs. And so now your body's processor can focus on healing and just operating all of your different systems a lot easier. So this is the benefits of doing this have been. Is that on your end or mine? There's,
What?
oh, you don't hear there's a police car. Anyway, the benefits of this is it lowers your blood pressure. It actually makes your red and white blood cells separate, which makes them flow easier through you. You sleep better. Uh, it lowers inflammation in your body. Um, there's people who have had like severe arthritis, things like that, and they use grounding to alleviate that. And there's people who are able to forego some medications for it. And all of these things combined, anti-inflammation, better sleep, things like that, it's all just, it's just better health for you. Okay. Now, we, of course, here live in Chicago, and going out and standing in the grass for a half hour a day is just not very feasible, especially year round. But even just, on a day-to-day basis, most people don't have time. The thing is that in nature, if we, back in the day, we lived outside, we had our feet on the ground. This is the way it was meant to be. As we have evolved and gotten houses and apartments and things like that, even when you're outside and you're wearing shoes, you're not connecting to the earth, or if you're walking on concrete, you've got concrete between you and the actual earth too. So there's a lot of more barriers at this point, and then even as kids, a lot of parents, if you're in your front yard or whatever, maybe your kids run around barefoot in the yard or whatever. But I mean, generally speaking, people shod their children because they don't, there could be glass or,
Yeah,
something,
you usually wear shoes. Yeah.
yeah, you don't know what's in there. And I understand, or even could be goose crap in there or something, whatever. So we as a race have gotten away from something that is considered to be essential in your health. So, like I said, you can't go outside. So what they have come up with are things that are like grounding instruments. So I started out with getting a grounding mat. Okay, so what it is it's a mat that has a wire, and it's just got one pin on it, and it goes into that third hole on the electrical outlet on your wall, because that's the ground, and that's what's connected to the earth. Okay, so with that, I just had it at my desk. I have it right now. My feet are sitting on it, and you just put your feet on it, and that's all you got to do. And so, like, if I sit here and play video games for 2-3 hours or whatever, I'm grounded the entire time and getting those benefits. Now, our friend Bryce also started this same time as I did, like about a week or two after me. And you can get grounding sheets. And what they are, they're cotton sheets, but they've got, they're lined with like a silver grid, looks like a spreadsheet. And you, same thing, plug that into the grounding hole on your outlet. And then when you sleep at night, you just have to have bare skin touching it is the thing. So,
So it doesn't matter, like you're sitting down now, it doesn't matter what the rest of your body is doing as long as bare skin is touching this.
right. It doesn't,
Obviously, you're sitting on something else, a chair of some sort.
right. Yeah.
So that doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't cancel it out or anything like that. Unless I like grab like a live wire or something like that, then that would
Well, that
be.
was my next question. How safe is this jamming it into this uh, grounding thing?
It's perfectly safe because there's no electricity going through it. That's the whole point. It's an opposite magnetic effect. It's actually drawing electricity out. So that then allows your body to it's not fighting that electrical charge as well. There's some people who like they do their yoga or their meditation on a grounding mat and things like that. So now again, I've been, like I said, I'm experimenting with this. I'm only about a month and a half into it. I got the mat. I started noticing my sleep getting better. My blood pressure definitely has been a lot more level. And then I just recently got the sheets, which are on my bed as we speak.
So
You
the
can see,
sheets are plugged in too?
you can see there's, yeah, right down there. You can see that little white wire there.
Yeah.
That's going in from the sheets there.
And how's the
Yeah.
cat with that? Because when I had cats, my cat would have chewed that wire up big time.
Well, see, I'm very lucky. She has no affinity for wires because I have wires all over the place, from my audio equipment to my
Yeah.
video games and stuff like that. Thankfully, she does not care because that would be an issue otherwise. One of the other benefits, since you brought her up, though, is she also, my cat, Lily, is not running around in the grass outside. She's not getting any of the benefits that a normal animal would by being outside and getting, I mean, they get all the same benefits that we do. So now if she is sleeping on the bed or, which the mat's kind of like almost like foam yoga mat type of feel. So I don't think she's as comfortable on that, but she sits on the bed plenty. So now when she's sitting on there, if she spends 6 hours sitting on there, she's deionizing her body the entire time, and it's going to make her healthier too. So there's benefits for her. And and things that I've read, they've talked about how at a certain point, animals will start making the connection that they like sleep longer or deeper or whatever when they're on there, and then they end up like using that stuff, and they won't know why really, but they'll just know that that's the comfortable place to be. So, but what I can report so far, like I said, is definitely, I used to wake up probably 5, 6 times a night. And now I wake up one time. And I haven't done that in probably about 15, 20 years.
I am intrigued.
So I talked to my doctor, I talked to my chiropractor who also when I talked to him about it, I said, "Do you know anything about grounding?" And he said, "Yeah," and he showed me he had a grounding mat at his desk. And so I've looked into a lot of stuff online. I read about or I heard about this on a podcast years and years ago, and when I heard about it, the way it was explained made a lot of sense to me. But things like grounding mats and sheets and stuff like that weren't as available. But now it's a much bigger thing, and now there's like 100
Well,
different
let's
companies.
be thorough then. Where would you find one, and are there different qualities or
Well,
levels?
that's
Levels.
boxes.
Yeah.
Um, well, that's something I'm still kind of figuring out myself as far as like quality wise. Like, so my sheets and my pad are two different brands. I have read reviews to see like, if anyone thought, one was better than another or anything. They all kind of had just the same results. It's like the difference between two pencils, I mean, it's like they both basically they're good, they all do the same thing. It's a very simple process, is the whole grounding thing. It's just literally, you just need a conductor to be able to, to place your skin on. So it's I mean, if it comes down to sheets, I think you're looking more at like the quality of the fabric and things like that. Maybe the quality of the silver that they use, because yeah, obviously you got to care for it a little differently than you would regular sheets. So they've got to be washed differently and more often and things like that. Because like if you let too much like lint or whatever start,
Oh yeah.
covering up those lines, then you're not getting the full benefit of it and stuff. So, um, but I mean, on a basic, I mean, like a grounding mat is like $25. I mean, it's like it's not expensive. These sheets were just under 100, I think, and they're fine. I mean, like I've never been one for like designer sheets or anything like that. I mean, these are probably the most expensive sheets I've ever had, but I mean, even that's not that bad. So
And do you feel anything when you're on the like when you're sitting when your feet are on the now your
you
feet are on
don't.
the running mat? You,
Some people report that they do feel a little bit of tingling, and the doctors say that that's because of the increased circulation. They might feel a little bit of a tingle. I have not had that effect. Bryce has not had that. I don't feel anything while I'm doing it. I will say though that when I go to lay down to go to bed, I mean you know about maybe 10 minutes at best, and then it's kicked in, and I'm dead asleep. Whereas
and
I
it
might.
doesn't matter. Well, obviously that's your whole body or your whatever part of your body is exposed. But like if you're sitting there, what if you had it like theoretically? I'm on a table here.
Yeah.
I put it on the table and rest my arms on it instead of my feet.
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, if you go and look at the pictures online when you're buying one, that's one of the things they'll show is somebody
Oh.
like working on their, computer with their arms on the mat.
But
It's
it'd be
safe.
the same one. Like you could switch.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could take the one I'm using with that's sitting on the floor right now with my
Yeah.
feet on, and I could put it up on the table here and use it there. Before I got the sheets, I was just throwing it in the bed with me, and I would put it down like below my knees, so like my calves, at the very least were on it. Problem is that the mat's only like, I don't know, 24 by, whatever. It's not that big, and I'm all over the place in bed. I'm rolling
Yeah,
all
me
over,
too. Same.
So I mean, I'm on and off of it, depending, so that's why once I felt like I was getting it, when I felt like I was feeling a difference from the mat, that's why I started with the mat. And I was like, if I get the mat and I don't think anything's going on and it's not doing anything noticeable, then I'm not spending the money on the sheets. But I've spent enough time with it, and then with Bryce having the sheets and his because we've been sharing notes on it to see, and then so then eventually it was like, okay, the sheets are worth investing in. And yeah, it's and like I said, I've talked to two of my doctors, and they've both been in agreement about it. They said this is a real thing. It's not a placebo effect type of thing. And they were both surprised and glad to hear that like I was into this. And they said it's not like, life altering or anything like that. They're like it's like you should drink water every day, and like it's good for you. It's going to help all of these things. It's something that, it affects all things in your body. This is the same thing. It's just it's a part of nature that we don't get, in touch with. I mean, I honestly don't like to be barefoot outside. So, I'd
Well,
rather
I mean,
and
there's a million reasons why, like, especially like, we both live in condos. We don't have our own yard. When I had the house, I had no problem being barefoot in my backyard because I knew what was back there,
sure.
essentially. You
Yeah.
know,
Well, and that's
I
the other
go to the
thing.
park, I could be stepping in anything.
Sure. And that's another thing is I was thinking about it and reading about this. I'm like, well, I've lived most of my life in apartments and condos, and so I'm not on the ground. Like I've always been about 5 floors off the ground. And over here, as you've seen in the back parking lot, is a gigantic electric facility that ComEd has. There's a giant transformer thing back there. I don't know what effects any of that has, but if it has any, and this helps counter any of it, it's great. One thing that my doctors had said though was is that while the mat and the sheets are good and do help, um, the best is always going to be the actual feet in the earth thing. Now, this also applies to people who are into like gardening and things like that because they're putting their hands in the earth.
Yeah.
Farmers, people like that who are actually like, you know, and now that makes sense too because you find a lot of people find a lot of peace and are healthier people who do that sort of stuff. People who are beach bums have their feet in the sand, in the earth, and they're out there all day.
Now,
So and aren't they some of the most chill dudes you ever met?
well,
So
now the question I had right from the get-go on this is could you make a for lack of a better term, indoor actual real grass? You make a big square of something, you put dirt there, you grow grass.
well, you can, but it's not the dirt and the grass that's having the effect. Otherwise,
So
you could just
that's what I'm saying. So that would
no,
not have
it
the same effect.
no, it's just the energy from the earth is able to conduct through that.
All right.
So and get to you. But no, if you just like set up a planter in your house and stand in that, it's not going to do anything but get dirt on your feet.
Well, there goes my $1 million idea. I was gonna, the Tommy and John.
I mean, you could take a grounding mat and then put dirt and grass on top of it.
Well, that
And
makes no sense. Why?
well, if somebody really wanted to just feel like they were outside, as long as they know that it's not fully simulating the real Earth, I mean, I guess that
Well,
could be
that's an unnecessary
that
step.
could be the deluxe model or
It's not
something like that.
marketable. Forget about it.
Well, I'm not.
We're
Hey,
all
you
about the
you
market.
brought it up. I'm just saying.
I was asking about real dirt and a real
Yeah.
thing. I was picturing us making a lot of money on this thing.
No, no. I think the money that's going to be made on this is being made right now. And that's the other thing is, I mean, like even like the most expensive grounding sheets I've seen were like maybe like $160 or something like that. I mean, it's not like, again, it's such a simple thing that you can't really make a real expensive version of it other than, just better materials, I guess,
Yeah, you can make Egyptian cotton and 600 thread counts and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like that aside, it's like the at the end of the day. Now they also make bracelets uh that you can wear, and then but then you're plugged into that. That I don't like the idea. I mean
Yeah,
like
I don't
I don't
understand that
want
at all.
I don't I mean, well, it's the same thing. It's just a ground
Yeah,
and
but you're
line
plugged
phone.
in. Like, then
Yeah, but
your
then
range.
yeah, but they do. I will say that all of these have extremely long wires on them.
You know, you're still attached though. I
But
don't
no,
want
I wouldn't want to be shackled, the whole day.
to.
It's far easier for me to just put the mat on the floor and have my feet sitting on it. And even like, if I cross my leg, if I got one foot still on it, I'm good. It's not like both feet need to be on. It doesn't,
Yeah.
you don't get any more grounded because there's more skin over there. It just, as long if I put my fingertip on it and just held it on there, and they show, and even if you look on YouTube, there's videos where like they'll take, electrical testers and they'll touch you, before you touch the mat, and then they'll have the person touch the mat, and then you see their electric go right down to zero, like instantly. It just goes bang. And then once that, then it's just you got to have time. So like, remember when we did like the red light therapy and stuff like that? You got to be in there for so long because your
Yeah.
blood cycles through your body about every 7 minutes or so. And so you get that energy down to that zero, and then you want to give it a few cycles. That's why they say like 20 minutes to a half hour, because then that way you've gotten at least 3 to 4 cycles of your blood going through your body. Um,
That makes sense. Yeah.
so yeah, and that's the thing. It's all pretty simple when you get down to it. It's just something that isn't really talked about a lot, and I really have zero recollection as to why I got this idea to even try it again. I must have heard someone talk about it again because, like I said, I heard about it years ago, and then for whatever reason, I just decided, I looked up to see like how much it would cost, and I was like, well, for $25, I'll give it a try, and if it's not worth anything to me, then oh well.
Well, I'm
But
intrigued.
yeah, so I was digging it, and then I told Bryce, and he's a pretty open-minded dude, so he went out and he just went straight for the sheets, and because he's had some issues going on that I thought that would be that this could that if it did what it said it does, it could be beneficial to him. So and yeah, I mean he's had about the same experience I've had so far with it. So
Well, I will look into it, and in 6 months, when you have time to do the next episode of this, I can have them by then.
get the So to answer your question, as far as like where you can get them, like you can go on Amazon and there's like a bazillion, or just even Google, grounding mat,
Yeah.
grounding sheets. And if you want to learn more about it, go on YouTube and just look up grounding, earthing. There's a guy who's kind of like the guy who spearheaded this whole thing, who kind of brought this to everyone's attention. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but there's lots of videos with him where they just basically they explain it, and then they'll like do experiments to show you like here's you grounded, here's you not grounded. They do like that infrared type stuff where they can see like inflammation in the body. People like who have like broken their ankle, and there's like a lot of swelling and inflammation, and then they get grounded, and like in an hour or so, it's like the swelling comes down and stuff. So I've seen lots and lots of videos where it's just straight up, evidence of what it does. So yeah, so I don't know. I just figured, for something that takes zero effort, I mean, all I'm doing is just I'm doing it
Yeah.
right now while I'm talking to you, and at night, you're just sleeping in bed, and
Okay,
and
I'm going to look into it.
so
And
yeah,
for the record, I didn't like the red light therapy. I liked the cryotherapy.
yeah, I know.
I thought that was really good.
Well,
But the
again,
red light did nothing for me.
I know, but again, I think that's something that requires more consistency. And
Yeah.
and in all honesty, I felt like this did too. Like this wasn't like day one, I was like, holy cow, you know. But as like a couple of weeks had gone by, I felt like if anything, like because I had gone through so long of a stretch of stressful sleeping that um my body was like trying to like catch up and make up for lost sleep. It was like, oh, well, now it's actually able to relax and sleep. So then I was like, I was getting into like really deep sleeps, and then it was almost hard to get up in the morning. Now it's like I've kind of flushed that out, and now you wake up just well rested and more energized. Um, After about so it puts you down, and then after about 7 or 8 hours your cortisol levels start to spike, and then that's when you wake up and you got that energy and you're ready to go. So but it, like I said, that did take a couple of weeks to kind of get to that point. So but I mean, again, if you've got the sheets, you don't think twice about it. You just, it's the same routine you ever did. It's just
Wow.
one
I will
little
look into that. I'm
yeah.
intrigued. You actually brought something of interest.
Well, I'm an interesting guy, you know.
Not really.
Uh, in other news, I will be attending this year's Southside Occupational Academy field day, in which we put on a wrestling show for all the kids. It's like their second to last day of school, and
You're the former champ,
yeah, 4 years,
longest reigning.
4 years, yeah, longest reigning SSOA champion. But it's a cool. I know I've talked about it before, but for those who don't know, it's just a nice day they take for the kids where they it's an occupational academy for kids with special needs on the south side of Chicago. Not the best area, and they take a day and they just have all sorts of different events and games and projects and stuff that they do. They make a ton of great burgers and hot dogs and all that sort of
Hey,
stuff.
turkey burgers.
Did they have turkey burgers?
Last time I was there, yeah. A
Yeah.
couple of years. I didn't go to last year's. A couple of years ago, they had turkey burgers.
And then they cap the whole thing off at the end of the day with live wrestling show, as three of the teachers there are competitive indie wrestlers. Our good friend C Red being one of them. Flash Harris and Renee Van Peebles are all teachers at the school. And so yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what I'm doing just yet. I know I'm doing something with C Red, but I don't know what.
You don't know the date yet.
I do know the date now. It's May 31st. So it's Friday, May 31st, and you'll probably be covering a softball game somewhere, and
That's
we'll
the
be
same
able
day
to.
as Ohio Valley Wrestling comes to Des Plaines.
Yeah. Well, they'll probably be putting their show on later that day, and we'll be doing it at 2 in the afternoon. So you should have no problem making it to both.
I
And
wasn't invited.
well, I'm inviting you right now. You're
Well, this isn't
invited,
really an invite, you
and
know. It's just,
I will use my credentials to get you in.
oh
So
yeah, yeah.
uh,
To allow me
because
to come to a free event.
I can do that. So
Thanks.
but yeah. So no, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun. I didn't. Last year was the only year in like 10 years that I wasn't there for it. So it's I'll be extra excited this year, putting together my gear, working on a somewhat revamped Who Else but Tommy Else. So it's been a while. Got to freshen it up a little bit, you know.
Get your cardio going, buddy.
Yeah, yeah. It's only a few weeks away.
I know, so you do some legwork. Get out there, hit the streets.
Oh, please. I'll be fine, buddy. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
So, anything else?
Well, a little funny story about our dear old friend. I think you met him with me, the honky tonk man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did
Yeah.
meet the hockey. Yeah, because he's quite the character.
Yes. So I'm walking through Squared Circle Expo as
And
I'm walking.
he was I think last time I was with you, he was like really like riding you or harassing you
Yeah.
or something. Yeah, And
So,
because you had been there for like a couple days, so he'd seen you around. But yeah, like we every time we'd walk by, he would,
well, he's been doing that for years. And the quick story on that is, I don't know, about 10 years ago at Motor City Comic Con in Detroit, he called me Jay Leno, and he was very proud of the fact that he put that together. And then I busted his bubble and said, "You're not the first person to say that. You're not even the first person here. Terry Reynolds had already said it." So then from then on, he calls me Jay Leno, like several other people do. So I'm walking through the Squared Circle Expo, and he's got his table there, and he yells out Jay Leno, and I said, "Hey," because I was busy, and yeah, he charges $80 for a photo or an autograph. So I've met him enough times, and I like the guy, but I didn't really want to pay $80. Again,
that's a lot.
yes. So
I
then
know
I'm
I know he's the honky tonk man, but I mean
yes,
that's like Ric Flair money. I mean, like
yeah.
that's a
Well, Flair's
lot.
like 100 and something now, but
Yeah, I know, but that's
yeah,
up
no,
there.
you're right. So I'm walking by, like one of the times walking by, he comes out of the table and he goes, "I need a picture with Jay Leno." Now, I'm not, I'm like, "Oh, I'm not going to pay for this."
Yeah.
So we take a selfie, and then, I didn't mention anything about money, and he didn't say anything about money. So I got a selfie. I actually had Honky Tonk Man ask me for a selfie.
You should have asked him for $80.
I missed my opportunity. But I also
Shit.
saw our dear friend Reagan Lytle. She was there working Sky Blue's table,
Oh yeah.
and, and I saw she looked different. I mean, she looked very good, but it's dark in there too. So
No,
um,
she did. I actually it was her birthday a week ago, and I was invited to her 21st birthday party, and no, she's really gotten in good shape. Yeah,
yeah,
she looked really good. I told her, like as soon as I saw her, I was like, wow. I'm like, you have tightened up. Your shoulders are looking a little more
yeah.
defined. I was like, yeah, very good. Yeah.
And our other friend, Mr. Kate, was there.
Yep, I'm sure. Yeah, she's all over the place, man. She's killing it out there.
She is, and I'm sure you saw the picture of her wearing my shirt.
Yeah, I did. I can't imagine how much you had to
That
pay
was
her to.
touching.
Yeah, I'm sure just, it touched you in the wall. It's probably about $150 to get her to do it, but
Mr. Kate is a sweetheart. I
she
did
is a
not have to pay her
sweetheart.
$150 to pose in my shirt.
200, 250, 300. Don't tell me you paid 350.
No, but Mark
400.
Hamill at
400.
shut up, at Fan Expo coming up in August. Mark Hamill's charging $400 for an autograph, $400 for a photo op.
Wow.
That appears to be one of the highest I've ever seen.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know,
I
and
know
that's just
it's
for a flat. If you go like with a Funko or anything like that, the prices go up higher.
I mean, I know when they announced it, everybody got pretty damned excited and was losing their minds that,
Sold out.
Mark Hamill was going to be there and everything, but $400. I mean, if it's the only thing you do, I mean, because there's,
He sold out
I,
within like
yeah,
half an hour.
no, he'll get it.
Yeah.
He'll get the money. I personally wouldn't do it, but there's people who go to those and they spend like $5,000
Oh
that day.
yeah. Yeah.
So the 400 for Mark Hamill is just, it's like if you go into it with a budget of like I got 2 grand to spend, and I'm gonna get 400 of it for Mark Hamill, then I get it. But I mean, like for me, I went to WrestleMania 21 and I didn't spend $400 doing that. So
Well, I mean, I guess it depends. Like, if it's your favorite guy or
yeah,
person,
no, it's all
like,
what it's worth to you for sure.
you
I get
know,
it. I get it.
if
And
you got met Billy Corgan and worked with him and you had a chance to beat him for $400.
oh yeah, no. And I've done so many things. I got to do so many things with him that would have, I would have gladly have paid $400 and far more and so many other people would have too. I mean, I won't even get into it, but I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. So it's a matter of what it's worth to you and so and hey, the guy's gotta make a living. So he's only doing so much work these days. I mean, he does voiceover stuff for a
Yeah.
lot of things, but um but and and the window is is closing in on Mark Hamill. I mean, he's not
Well, I don't know. William Shatner's like 90 and he's still doing them.
yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see. You never
But
know.
it's so funny because people, I'm on the message boards, because I'm covering that, and people are like, well, I'm just going to go there and see him. Like, you are not going to get anywhere near him. He's going to be behind
Oh
curtains
no,
or in another room, unless you're paying whatever. You are not going to get anywhere near him. You're not going to see him at all.
no. Even if you like, yeah. I mean, just the line alone is going to cover up wherever he is, and
Well, he'll be in a separate. It'll either be a separate room or it'll be curtained off because that's like Shatner's always the same way.
yeah,
You don't see Shatner. I'm
right.
pressed that I don't see Shatner.
Yeah, the only chance you might is if like they're coming and going between signing periods or something like
They go
that.
through the backside.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and even then they usually have like a back
Yeah.
door or something like that. I was at I don't know whatever it was, and I think it was with you, but Jeff Goldblum was there, and I think I saw him like walk by to get to his table or whatever. But then after that, there was no like everybody was there for Goldblum, so
Yeah.
he was someone I would have liked to have met. But even him, $400, I wouldn't go. I mean, I'd say I'm trying to think besides Billy, who I would have. Uh, I don't know, man. I don't know who I would spend $400 on. I mean, just to meet and like if I got to sit down and talk to him for a little bit, then maybe.
Well,
But I mean, just
is
to get a photograph with him, I mean, musically, like the only other two people I could, there's three other people. It would be Tom York from Radiohead, Beck, and Danny Elfman, and those are probably the only ones I can think of that I would want to meet. But just to get a photo with, maybe with Danny Elfman, I'd spend $400 because that's a tough one. That guy is not easy to find and get a picture with. But other than that, I don't know, man. I don't
well,
know.
like I would do it with Billy Joel,
Sure.
and I would have to do it with the two remaining Beatles.
Yeah. See, I don't even
If I had a
care.
chance to get a picture with Paul McCartney, it'd be hard to. It'd be tough.
Yeah, yeah. I see. Yeah, I just
But I can't think of anybody else.
no, I can't either. For no,
I don't know what the most I ever paid for a picture. I know I got one with Hogan back in the day with Matt, but that was like probably 10 years ago and the prices weren't nearly what they are now. And I
I
had
can.
a little, I got some discounts back then too.
I think maybe like 30 is probably the most I've spent on a photo. I mean, I've seen people who had it upwards of 50 and said no. You know,
I mean, I know I spent 50. I know I spent probably
I
70.
would
I don't,
I would spend 50 for Mark Hamill. I mean, like
yeah.
like that I could justify. I'm like, all right, that's not going to break the bank, but like, I'm not going to not pay my electric bill and my, utilities for the month just to, get a photo with Mark Hamill. If it was like 1984 Mark Hamill, different story, but not today's Mark Hamill. I'm
Well,
sorry.
that's the big news in the celebrity convention world.
All right. Well, for those who do care and are willing to spend $400, when is this? Where is this?
That's Fan Expo in August
Okay.
in Rosebud. Tommy will not have a booth there, yeah, but you might see him rolling around. And do you charge Tommy or for selfies? I think.
No, I don't. I'm very giving to all my fans. I'm happy to do selfies for free.
I did another selfie at Spurred Circle Expo for free. Some fan came up and goes, "I see your stuff all over the place. Could I get a selfie?"
They said you're the guy who's on that show with Tommy Else.
And when are you going to do another one? Because it's been like 6 months. But he's got that other podcast that he rates higher than yours. So
He's like, and
you
he
just have
was
to
like, I
wait in
love that. I
line.
love that one, and that's been such a big help with my health and wellness, and it's actually something practical I can use. It's intelligent talk, and yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's yeah.
You're insulting
What
your own podcast,
they're
you
like, what's it like?
goof.
What's it like knowing him? I mean, I just got to get a picture with someone who's just been in his aura before in his
All right, isn't
presence.
it time to wrap this one up?
Yeah, probably.
All right,
I think
your
I've
bit.
carried this long enough here. So with that. Thank you, as always, for tuning in to the Johngy or Else podcast. I, of course, have been who else but Tommy Else. And with me, as always, it's the man on the beat from johngysbeat.com, Mr. John Robleski.
See you in 6 months.